what I wanted to say generically about the Leo archetypes, and this is kind of present in all the keys, in all the gates, is this radiant energy. I feel the Leo stays here in our heart area. It's that inner radiance, and that's happening in all the keys. So whatever activation in Leo you have, that very alive heart within is always pumping there. So yeah, I want to start with that. So let's dive into the first one, the 56. 56 is one activation that makes this transition from the Cancer to the Leo. And it's that intoxication of life, just that kind of richness that life brings. And what I found here, it's a activation that I don't find very often in the charts of my clients. When I find one, I'm like, give me information, tell me all. I find that people having 56, they know how to live life and to enjoy that nectar of life. And I think it's a quite emotional type of Leo, because they are, going from Cancer to Leo and having that rich, emotional, abundant emotional state, and going into the fire elements. So I like them very much. Very rare. If you have 56, please let us know how it feels in your case. But this is what I got from it, like essentially. My shamanic drum, I really wanted my shamanic drum to arrive when 31 was active, and it didn't. It arrived when the 56 was active. And it's a very energetic type of drumming. Whenever I drum with my shamanic drum, I can feel it. It makes like everyone party in a way. And I think this is 56 for me. I associate it with my drum and my drumming. What about you? What do you feel about 56?
Yeah, because it is on the cusp. I do feel that a bit of that quicker Gemini energy in it, because it's on the cusp. It has both of them. And the way that we named it in the 64 doors is the comedian. And maybe that's a little bit simplifying, but I like that with archetypes. Sometimes it is good to simplify. And yeah, I like it. I have the 11 and I have a million ideas, but then when the 56 comes along, some of those ideas can actually transform into an adventure. Because for me, it's like, what of all these million ideas I have am I supposed to like act on? So I like when the 56 come. It feels like we are actually, acting it out in the world, going on an adventure. I worked with a client recently that had it in her vocation, in her design Mars, and she also had it in her design Mercury. And there is something, there's something here with distraction that you can kind of like, if you are a comedian, it's like, do you ever even live your own life, or are you only just doing role after role after role? Because it's almost like your life on stage might be more than your other life. So I can see as well how there could be ups and downs, where life on stage is one life, and then what happened the next morning when you wake up and it's normal life. So that seemed to be one thing. And also when I saw it in this case in Mercury and in the core wound, sometimes the inner talk, like, it can kind of distract yourself in this case, then it was with the core wound to kind of help you perpetuate a bit of that same chatter that is not going to get you into true enrichment. Although this client had a lot of enrichment in her life, the way that she lives, the way that she is very close to nature, the way that she is planting things in her garden and things like that. But she has had to kind of work through that distraction and also stop herself when that starts to happen. Yeah, I can see how it's not a super easy one to have. But I think when you kind of take a deep breath and look at what you're, kind of come back to your senses, then I feel like it can be super fun more than anything else.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It makes the channel with your 11, does it?
Yeah, and I have the 11 twice, so it's like it's kind of looking for that other side in the 56.
Yeah, I think that's valuable information, because many times I see, even with my clients, people that have the other part of the channel and they feel the transit. So even with you might feel 56 only if you have 11 in your chart. So yeah, that's a good point. And I wanted to say it's a Cancer gate, but it's an interesting type of Cancer gate, because it's It's
Oh
a
my God, it's not Gemini, it's
full of life.
Cancer. How did I?
Yeah,
Thank you for
but
correcting.
many times it's perceived as a different type of cancer because it's a very joyous cancer and a very full of life cancer. So let's move to the 31. We both have this one. So the 31 is the second Leo key, and it's a beautiful key. It's my purpose, and it's one of the keys that I keep contemplating and reading again and listening to it again, and each time it brings more interesting depths and information for me. So I feel that the 31 is the type of leader, or that type of leadership key. It's the leader that made, I don't know, the self-made man in a way. So it's that kind of leader that lived life. And what I found about, and you have it too, so I'll be curious about what you see here. But what I found about 31 is it's like your life is transparent. People can see through your life, and they choose or not your guidance according to how you live life. And I found that a bit scary because I had a very rich and abundant life, and sometimes I was scared to share my experiences, or I was like, oh, if people knew that, and they all knew. It's like they had access to everything I lived, even if I didn't tell it. So 31, I think, is that type of leader that becomes a leader through the people, because people see your experience, and yeah, that brings that humbleness in a way. It just makes you, I don't know, for me at least, it feels like, wow, life is just bigger than myself in many ways. And it's a Leo, of course, a Leo energy, that type of radiant leader, but the leader that is made by life, in a way, forced to be a leader by life in a way. How is it with you?
Yeah, it's interesting you said that thing about kind of the role model that other people look at you and either decide to follow or not. I thought in my case, because it's my attractor fields, of course, it's going to have to do with others, and it's a 6 line. I thought that was why. But when I hear you now, it might actually be inherent in the 31, and it doesn't matter the line. So that's interesting to hear. There is inherent leadership in this gate. So if you have it, it's going to
better use it.
and it's going to just be natural, like even from school, like it's there. And what we say in human design is leadership for good or bad, especially when we look at the whole channel. We're going to speak about the 7 later. So here, what I think is important here is it's the voice of leadership, and it's also connected to the 62, which is the code and ring of non-return. And the 62 is also very linked to language. So here it is to be able to use language in a way that's convincing. This is part of the collective circuitry. So it's here for the betterment of humanity, to bring humanity into the future. And it's tricky because in a sense, I speak many languages because I understood very early that there's a power in speaking a language. So when I'm in a country, if I don't speak a language, I don't have power. And Leo doesn't like to feel without power,
Powerless, yeah.
And the tricky thing too is that, especially in a 6 line, I could use my voice, my words to cut the throat of like the person on the other side. But I've learned it's not even fun, because somehow Leo still wants the energy. And if I just maybe cut somebody's throat with my words, well, then it's game over, So I kind of learned to like temperate a little bit like that. But it's very powerful. And I just think, I really just feel that, there is responsibility for sure in this gate, and especially when you have the 62 as well, you have that precision, like kind of a scalpel, or I don't know, like the surgeon who can go and just pinpoint and then speak to that or explain that. But again, it's here for humanity and to serve humanity. And when you are in self-leadership, that's when you can do that. So integrity is so important, is what I feel in this gate. And of course, seeing this picture from the 64 doors, like, yeah, if you're the president, and we don't have that good examples of presidents. So, hopefully, because the 7 is future oriented even more than the 31, like we're coming into a new leadership that is more based on, walking my talk. And then if that's inspirational, people can follow, not more the kind of like tyrannical leadership that tells people what to do and expect people to obey,
Yes, thank you for mentioning the ring and the connection with 62. I don't have 62, but when the transit of 62 was there, I was like, wow, I can feel it. And I find that the ring of no return is a fascinating one. It's, at least from my perspective as having 31, when you go that direction, when you start knowing yourself, and you can't go back. It's, even if you would like to, it can't happen. So you cannot unknow stuff in a way.
Yeah,
You have the beginner mind, but it's a new type of beginner mind.
yeah, and it is a little scary sometimes because I can't stop myself from that truth. Like I can't. And sometimes I know it would be like, you know, how do you say, it would be easier. Like maybe I have a negotiation or a conversation and I know that if I don't go like really to the truth, if I just kind of like, you know, go to the surface, but there is just something. And of course, with all the Scorpio gates as well, it's like, has to come up. And I do have the 62 is my north node, so of course attraction in north node, there is like a pull for me to go there and to know that there is no way back once you. So yeah, I can really feel the activation of that codon ring. Sometimes when codon rings only have two gene keys, it feels even stronger than when there are many, when you have some of them. So
yeah, absolutely. So look in the codon rings, you'll find some very interesting information. Okay, moving towards the 33rd of the activations. This was one that this year brought a lot of incredible knowledge for me. I don't have it, but I have a lot of friends that do. And it was so inspiring to talk with them when the transit was here. And I even had a short interview with my best friend. She has it in her purpose. And I asked her, like, how is life for you? And it was so rich to see how they perceive it. So the 33, I think it's a very different type of Leo energy. It's that Leo that needs time for the self. It's that Leo that needs time to rejuvenate. It's a completely different Leo story here. It's also, even if it's not like a leadership key, it's also in a channel of, in a way, leadership, because you have the three channels, 1-8, 31-7, and 33-13. It's a very interesting guiding energy I find here. And 33, I think that potentially it's just to make us be more connected to other people when we retreat and when we relax and when we can just remind ourselves who we are in a context of a bigger picture. This is what I found relevant in the 33rd. It's that kind of very relaxed Leo energy, like the cat, the feline energy that just says, okay, I'm going to take it easy and just see the connections between me and other people. Yeah, what do you feel about it?
Yeah, I wanted to show again the progression for people. So we are speaking about the Leo gate. So we started with the 56 and the 31 and the 33. So I feel like this kind of hamburger is interesting with the 31 and the 7. There are this channel in the throat that is about, it's the alpha and it's the leadership that's taking humanity into the future. But like you're saying, we have the 33 here, which is a very different kind of energy. And I believe that when you are the leader, when you are the alpha, it's so important to retreat. And if you don't sandwich that into the mix, you're missing something. So it's so important to come back and to integrate what's been done and to reevaluate in a way too, and to remember, why are you even the president? Like, why are you even the leader in any kind of group? Why are you taking that role? And the way that we depict it in the 64 doors is like a medicine woman. And
That's so nice.
Yeah, and I like the energy that this is energy that I feel is not pointing fingers. It's never saying, oh, you did this wrong. It goes back in its own integration. It maybe sits in the ceremony in a ring, around the bonfire and says people, this is what I experienced in this other town. Like it feels ceremonial in the sense that it's also the programming partner to 19, and 19 is very tribal. and it's very much about ceremony and sacrifice and the animals and the medicine wheel. So that is important. And I believe the way that society is built, that this is not what our leaders have time to do, really. It's like maybe once they retired and they got all the gray hair, but I wish that we could sandwich that in between 31 and the 7, so that we can still be human and leaders at the same time.
Well, I really like this illustration. Just who did it? It's amazing. I love it. Very nice one. It's the essence.
It says Holistera, I think, on the.
Very nice.
People want to.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for showing it. It's really very nice. And what I wanted to add about 33, it's that it is one of the stop codons, and like 56, 33, and 12 stop codons. If you have them in your life, it's better that you kind of give a stop to yourself from time to time. Otherwise, life will show you like a big stop sign. And I think from the 3 codon stops, 33 is the wisest. They usually know when to stop. It's like they stop before it's too late to stop. So there is a wiseness here in the 33rd.
Yeah, yep. So these are the.
So let's move. Oh, sorry.
I think your internet's a little bit lagging. No, just for people that are watching. So the 12, the shadow is vanity. The 56, the shadow is distraction. And the 33, the shadow is to forget why we're even here. So like you're saying, often it is maybe the distraction, the vanity is easier to see. And this one, you kind of have to dive a little deeper, because sometimes we don't even remember, we have forgotten why we're here, So, but that's the 3. And these are the distractions that, these are the things, the trials that we are facing. So it can be good to kind of check yourself for them from time to time and see. And, Adela, I realized the 12 is my progressed sun this year. It was the 45 before, and now I realize it's the 12. So I feel I have a little bit of this, and I feel like I see with the eyes of the 12, which is also, with my 11 in Neptune, I have those programming partners that also accentuate or highlight this thing about truth and purity. And then I have the 25 in my IQ, which is also about innocence and kind of purity in the 6th line. So I feel that theme more than ever, actually.
Yes, 12 is one of my favorites. So, okay, so let's move to the other one, the next one. So 7, Jinki or gate 7. You have it. I don't, but I love 7. So 7, it's the power behind the throne. 7 it's one very wise leadership key. I always wished I had this one. I'm still looking, maybe an asteroid or something will activate it. I don't have it, but my fiance has it. We did videos about it, wrote articles about it. He has the whole channel. For me, 7 is a very powerful type of leader. And I think what's very valuable from my perspective, it's that it's the type of leader that guides you through towards your virtue and towards your highest potential in a way. If 31 is the speaker and the voice that's there, 7, not necessarily. 7 just knows what the real virtues are and what does a real leader mean, and what does the power mean, and so on. So it's a very strong energy from me. If I would go coaching with anyone or do any type of therapy with anyone, I would go to someone that has 7. They have this clear way of seeing the direction. So it's a beautiful guiding energy. I love them. And when they are aligned with a higher purpose, I think that the power of the throne is in a way divinity, and they just know how to be there and let themselves be guided. So it's a beautiful one. Lucky you have it. Yes. How is it from your perspective?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's made up of so many yin lines. There's a lot of femininity, there's a lot of receptivity. And I believe that that's the way to lead. It's not with this iron hand. It's really about listening. And because this is a collective gate, it's like you can listen, and the programming partner is the 13. So you can listen between the lines and in the lines to everything. And then it's like it comes from an inner guidance. It's not a mind guidance. It comes from the G center. So it is about direction, but it's not like from the mind. It's not something made up. It's not strategized. And that's where I feel sometimes, I sometimes when I have friends or people that I know that I spend some time with, and they are like, oh, I don't know, but just when I'm around you, it feels like I'm more there's something with the aura of the 7 where people can come into like their own guidance, I believe, and feel more what's healthy for them. So I do feel it is a powerful key, maybe even more powerful than the 31, but because the 31 can pretend it's a leader by its voice, but with the 7, if you are not in a higher frequency, there is division, and it's going to be discord and division, the programming partners showing up everywhere in your life, So yeah, I believe that it's also strongly, part of that cross of the Sphinx. That is the second gene key, the first gene key, the 7 and the 13, which is everything in the G center. And it's about the direction. It's looking back, it's looking forward, it's having that creativity, and it has that inherent intuition in every moment. So that for me, the 7 is very happy, is what I feel when it is with those other gates that kind of have that, coming back to the big I, not the little I, the ego, or, but coming back to that. I don't know if there's anything else, I guess that when you have this and when you are in the low frequency, I think that this existentially, I think that even those 4 keys that I spoke about are like, it's so vast, to have the 1 and the 2 and the 7 and the 13 and feel off. You're lost, you're in entropy, you're in division, you're in discord. And of course, I'm speaking kind of my own story, but with people that for some reason, I attract a lot of people with that cross that the 7 is part of. And the lows are very low, and they are not emotional. They're very existential. So it's nothing to do with emotion, but it has to do with existence and kind of that almost the disappointment of existence. So I kind of went far out, but that's my experience with the 7.
Well, you have this cross, so you know it well. Thank you for showing the image. I wanted to add something about the wolf. There is also a book, maybe I'll give the link to you and you can put it in the description. There's a book about spirit animals, well, many books, but one that I read recently. And the way it portrays the wolf is very interesting. And I found when I saw the image, I remembered what I read. It's the wolf is very connected to the collective and the family it has. And I found that the energy of the 7 in a way is a lot about the collective and bringing this new vision. And what it was interesting about the wolf, they said that in the wolf community, everyone knows its place in a way. And if someone misbehaves or is, let's say, not virtuous in the wolf language, the alpha knows how to correct them in a way. So I find the 7 does this a bit too. It's like he knows what misbehaving means, and he's like, hey, this is not how we treat other people or other wolves. So I find it has a very strong energy. But read the chapter about the wolf. For me, it was impressive. I didn't know they are so smart and that everyone has its own business in the collective. So yeah.
I can really see that. My mom has the 7 in her life's work and in Pluto, and she's a 5/1, and she's all like, that's what she's done. She was a school teacher, but she's worked then with like people her whole life, and that's exactly what she does. She doesn't point finger either, but she really just like miraculously, even with children that have like special needs, she was somehow able, and 40 years later they still call her on her birthday. So there is something where they look up to the wolf because the wolf is there for the good of everybody. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that.
So let's move forward. We go and speak about the 4. So the 4 is a very special one. 4 is, and I will mention a bit about it a bit later. 4 is one of the last Leo activations, and I think 4 connects a lot with that power of the heart. From my perspective, 4 is a lot about understanding through your heart, and understanding through your heart after you used your mind. And many times people having 4, I think they have the broad image of both the mind and the heart. at least with my experience with my clients, people having 4, they need to understand stuff first. They need to logically understand why stuff are the way they are. But what is beautiful about 4 is that most of the time they don't remain there in the head. After they understood it, and after they can compare it with other people or just understand the patterns, they go in the heart and they're like, oh, now that I understood it, I can feel you. So it's a beautiful energy, but my recommendation about it would be not try to stop your mind before it's done understanding, because I think it's a need for people with 4 to just get it. At least my clients with 4, they need to understand the information, and they ask a lot of questions and they are very curious. And when their mind got the image, they are fine letting it go. Of course, the shadow can be intolerance, like, oh, I think that way, and if you think in another way, I'm not tolerant. But here I'm talking about a balanced energy, not the extreme. What I find very special about 4 is that it's also a sacred seal. And when I made the video about 4, I told people, hey, if you have 4 and if you have this sacred seal, tell us. Because I feel people that having sacred seals are here now on this planet to do healing. And they are part of a bigger something that's going on. So 4, I find that 4 heals the wound of guilt through that openness and that kind of forgiveness. So it's a massive key from my perspective. And if you have it, just be happy of that gorgeous potential that's there, and that radiance that just comes from the heart when you really get it. How is it from your perspective?
I think it's so interesting and important. You were mentioning the heart, and that's what when Ashley did the graphics, it's like it's opening that door, the door to the heart, and go through it. Not only see, oh, forgiveness is out there. No, you go into a new frequency, and I feel if we look at the human design sense, we don't see that thing with the heart. We really have to go all the way to the gene keys to understand that it's there, because whatever human design book you read on it is always about, solving problems, even problems that don't exist. And it's kind of boring. But then when you see that deeper potential, and, the 5th line is always kind of the strongest. So the 5th core wound, the 5th line in the core wound is the one that is kind of so complex, and it very much feels like no way out. And that's the thing, when you're stuck in your mind and you think you're right, that's where there is no way out. There is no way back to the heart. There is no way back to forgiving the other or forgiving yourself even. So yeah, I believe that if you have, I know that Ashley, actually, she has the 4 in her conscious moon, and she has a 5th line in her core wound. And for her, I think she would say, probably if I asked her, that she was kind of stuck in understanding for a long time, being a 5-1 as well. And then with all the work that we're doing through the academy and through her own work, more and more, she's kind of like, for her, I think it feels more like landing into the body. And maybe that being a 5-1, the 1 is very much physical. So probably she's coming in, breaking, like Richard Rudd would say, breaking through the veil, so that you're not stuck in the challenge of your life works and evolution, but you actually come in and you can ground into that core stability of your radiance and your purpose, which would be the 1st line. So I can see very much the difference in somebody who has a 4 and actually can embody the 4 in its whole, in the beauty of what it can be. And the last thing I would say is that sometimes when you have somebody who has the 63-4, it feels like they're logical. They are very convincing that they are right. And sometimes it can feel very narrow. And I have open head and Ashna with only 2 gates. So when somebody has defined head and Ashna with that 63-4, I'm sometimes like, I want to bang my own head in the wall, because I'm like, a little bit more open. What, Because that's the thing with the 63 and the 4, they are not actually here to be sure. They're here to always inquire, always kind of test out those answers. There are no answers that are forever. There's no leadership that's going to work forever. So that's the thing with this, like in the Leo energy too. Leadership has to evolve. Understanding has to evolve. So that's also an important point, I believe, to mention with this key.
Yes. Very valuable. Thank you for telling about the channel. there's a small joke here. I used to go to some courses a long time ago, and our teacher there told us, when your mind makes too much noise or is just hungry for answers, just give that monkey, the monkey mind, just give them a banana. So let that mind just, and I think with 4 it happens a lot. So I believe you can't stop people having 4 stop thinking. You can't just tell them don't think anymore, but just from time to time give that monkey a banana and it will just relax, eat, and because the mind can work, but can also work into sacred knowledge, into sacred understanding. So it's not like I'm stopping it, but I can think about stuff in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move to the last Leo gate, that is the 29th. It's the beautiful transit we are having right now. So the 29 is also a cusp key. So it does this bridging between the Leo and the Virgo. We'll go into Virgo in a bit. So the 29 is this commitment, beautiful commitment key and devotion key. I prefer to talk about gifts and cities. I find them valuable. With 29, I don't have it, but I know lots of people that have it. And my last Delta, and if my fellows from the Delta flight are here, I'm greeting them. My last Delta was all about 29. So I do have I had an issue with commitments. So when the Delta began, I was like, oh, this day, this hour, can't we change it? Can't we make it? Can't I skip stuff? And they were like, no, you committed to this flight, the Delta flight, you should have to be here. And I was like, does any of you have 29? Almost everyone in the Delta I was in had 29. My partner has his core in 29. So I think 29 was in a way mirroring some stuff to me. And I had to learn a lot from 29 and to bring that knowledge in my life. So it's one key I'm very grateful for. What 29 I think brings, it's that capacity to say yes to life, just that inner short yes that life has. And it's not a mental yes, it's not an emotional yes, it's just a quiet and very certain yes. Yes, I want to live life. Yes, that sounds like a great idea and I have a lot of energy to live that. So it's a kind of very enthusiastic Leo gate. It's in the channel of discovery, discovering what life has to bring you. And what I found very interesting about people having 29 is that their yes is a lot about living relationships or living connection that get them to a very ecstatic type of energy. I think they're looking for that 46. So for me, it's a very interesting key. It's an interesting, devotional and powerful key. And I learned a lot from it. So it's one I'm very grateful for. What about you? What do you see about 29?
Yeah, I would start with speaking about the elements. And here we see that this is there are 8 gene keys that have 2 trigrams that are the same. So each gene key is a hexagram. So here we have water on the top and water on the bottom. So we call it the water goddess in the 64 doors. And for me, that's the way, like water doesn't decide, oh, I want to go down here, but not down here. Like you pour water and it just goes, it doesn't hesitate. It can infiltrate everything. And I wonder, is this my mic that is weird? I hear. It's okay. It doesn't hesitate. And that's the thing, is this sacral yes that just goes. And I have the 46, but I don't have the 29, but the 29 would bridge my split. So basically, I think that I've been trying to become the 29. I've said yes to way too many things in my life or overcommitted. And I also know that the cross of contagion that has the 29 in it and the 30, I've been attracting that in relationships. I feel the tantric part with this, like water. I sometimes speak about ejaculation and kind of the pendulum swinging society from the male ejaculation that there has been way too much focus on in what for it to be balanced, to the female ejaculation, which is just the waters that are there to hold the baby for 9 months and to circulate so that the baby is healthy. Like those are the same waters that we can work in devotion with our partner as well. So for me, there is a sexuality for sure in the 30, which is the programming partner, and the 29 that has to do with water and fire, and that Shakti of water and fire, which I kind of even see as its own element. That's rising. And of course the 46, it's the central in the 64 doors. So when the central and the water goddess meet, you can just imagine what that meeting can be. And this is a tantric channel between the G and the sacral. So here it is to say completely yes to an experience and not have any reservations for what might happen. It's like it's completely in. And I believe that making love, if you can make love that way, that's how all the energy and everything can circulate, and you can feel your body, you can feel your heart, you can feel your spirit all playing together. So that's, for me, it's a super powerful gate. And when people have it and live it out in a high frequency, that wholeheartedness, that commitment, like that trust you can have for those people, it's also very, very powerful.
Yes, beautiful illustration. I like it so much. I feel so lucky I have a partner having this key. Yes, it's a beautiful one. And I find that the body, because it looks for that 46, as you said, I feel that the way people having 29 experience with the body is very interesting. And yeah, they feel that need to be with other bodies, to not necessarily intimately, but be in the aura of other bodies too. And yeah, transform from there. That tantric power does something with that creativity that stirs. So yeah. Lucky you, people that have it.
And how do you feel, Adela? Do you want to say something in general to close about the Leo, and then we stop the live and we do another one? What feels right?
Okay. Yeah, so the conclusion for the Leo, I find that the Leo is a lot about creative power and being aligned with the self. I think creativity, the heart, and being in contact with the real self are 3 of the lessons that Leo archetypes teach us. And I work with a lot of Leo clients. They're in my top 3 clients, and they are just amazing. When a Leo person is awake, that energy is just amazing. So it's about aligning the self, the creator in you with the creator and the co-creator, aligning your inner creator with the higher creator. And I feel that's a huge energy here. And I think 29 is the one that makes this cusp to Virgo, which is a very devotional sign. But all the energies stir here in the Leo. I think they open up here in the Leo. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So
You're welcome.
Let's end here, and then we come back in just a little moment with the Virgo. Let's see. Live stream, and I'm gonna